Alrighty, students, it's Mr. Arevalo with a brand new lesson. And for today's lesson, we're going to be focusing on Box 1, 7.6a, rename mixed numbers, okay? And we should all be familiar with mixed numbers at this point. Okay, so one more time, that is 7.6a, rename mixed numbers. In terms of Box 2, our mathematical practice that we're going to focus on today, I want us to focus on MP5, which is right here, MP5, strategically used tools, okay? Sorry, I think I crossed out the 5 right there, but you guys know which one I'm talking about. Okay, and what I want you to understand about this mathematical practice is that you can select and you can use the appropriate tools to help you solve different problems, okay? Meaning, if you're going to be working on multiplication, then you would need to know how you're going to solve that. Versus if you're finding the quotient and you're dividing, then you set up the problem a little bit differently, right? So remember, just learning how to use the tools, okay? And when to use them. Going into Box 3, our purpose. Today we will rename mixed numbers as fractions greater than 1. And I'll just put the 1 like that. That's fine, okay? On the bow, you know what to do. In 3, 2, and today we will rename mixed numbers as fractions greater than 1. Great job, class. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Going into Box 4, okay? Our APK, activating our prior knowledge. Remember, prior knowledge comes from the past. Find the product. Let's see if you guys remember how to multiply a 2-digit number times a 2-digit number. Alrighty, so looking at the first APK problem, I have 50 times 72. Don't forget, both of those numbers are factors, okay? So when we multiply them together, we get the product. So I'm going to start off in my ones place. So I go 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 5 is 10. Don't forget, for the rest of your life, you need the placeholder right there, right underneath the 0. Then I go to 7 times 0, that is 0, and then 7 times 5, and that is going to be 35, okay? Add these together, and I do get 3,600 as my product, okay? And remember, you can always double check your work. That's pretty important, okay? So make sure you go back and just make sure that you multiplied correctly, okay? Going into our next APK problem, I have 84 times 39. I'm going to multiply the 9 times the 4, put the 6, and then the 3 on top. 9 times 8 is 72, plus the 3 is 75. Put the placeholder right underneath the 6. Then I go 3 times 4. That's going to be 12, so I put the 2. Cross out this 3 so I don't get confused with it. Put the 1 on top. 3 times 8 is 24, plus 1 is 25. Okay. Add these together. 6, 7, 2, and 1. I get 3,276. Alrighty, if you were able to get both of those, great job. And if you weren't able to get them, then make sure that you figure out why you missed them, right? Try to figure out the mistake that you made, and then that way you don't make it again, okay? And if you're still confused, ask me. Going into Box 5, our vocabulary words. Mr. Arevalo, you still have not changed this line right here. No, I have not. I'm very sorry. Okay, please forgive me. Going into Box 5, though, vocabulary. Your first vocabulary word is fraction, okay? We should all be familiar with what a fraction is at this point. Okay, a fraction is an amount that tells how many parts of a whole, okay? And if you do not know fraction at this point, then make sure that you are looking at these vocabulary words, okay? Just because we want to make sure that we understand what they mean, okay? Not just simply write in our vocabulary and never think about what I'm talking about, okay? Our next vocabulary word is going to be a unit fraction, okay? unit fraction. Alrighty, and a unit fraction, okay, is a fraction that has a numerator of 1. And remember, numerator means the top number, okay? Numerator is a top. And then your last vocabulary word is going to be a mixed number, okay? Mixed number, and this is an amount given as a whole number and a fraction. Okay? An amount given as a whole number and a fraction. And remember, mixed number just means I have a whole number right here of 5, and then I also have the fraction of 3/4. But when we put them together, when we combine them, they make a mixed number, okay? It's mixed together. Alrighty, going on. Let's look at box 6, okay? And this lesson is pretty simple. There's only 3 steps, so as long as you follow these steps, I promise you the lesson will be simple. If you ignore them, then obviously it's going to be hard. Okay, so box 6, our critical attribute, the main component of today's lesson. So, step 1, we are going to multiply the whole number times the denominator. So in this problem, we have 5 4/10. And you guys can all see that, 5 4/10, okay? Now what we're saying to do in step 1 is to multiply the 5, right, times the 10, okay? So when we multiply those, 5 times 10, we're going to get 50. And I have the 50 right here, okay? Now after we do that, after we multiply the 5 times 10, okay, to get the 50, then we go into step 2, which says add the numerator. So then I need to take the 4, okay, and that's how I got this 4 right here from the top. If you follow the arrow, right, just follow this arrow, okay. So then I go 50 plus 4, and I add the numerator. Well, adding the numerator is saying 50 plus 4. Sorry about that, okay. So then I get 54. And when you do this, when you add those two numbers, okay, and you see how you get this 54, that is actually the new numerator. Okay, I didn't write that in step 2 because I thought it would have been confusing to say add the numerator to find the new numerator, okay? But just know when you add the number on top to the number that you multiplied, that is your new numerator. Okay, I'm going to put it over here, a line just going like that so you can understand. And the denominator stays the same. Mr. Revlo, that's it? That's it, class, okay? Remember, when you rename, essentially all that you're saying is that you are changing it into something different, okay? It still equals the same amount. The number doesn't change, okay? The amount is still the same. It's just how you say it, okay, is different. So hence the rename. Alrighty, so hopefully those steps were easy. Let's go into box 7, our example, okay? Write the number as a fraction. So the first thing I'm going to do is I should write the mixed number. Okay, I forgot to write that. No big deal. Mr. Rowe, do I have to write that? No, don't worry about it. Okay? Just know what I'm talking about, okay? Which is write the mixed number as a fraction. If this was only a number, then we would not have the fraction there, okay? So mixed number. Alrighty, so the first thing I'm going to do, step 1 says multiply the whole number times the denominator. So I'm going to multiply 4 times 12. Well, 4 times 12 is equal to 48, okay? Then add the numerator, so then I have to go back to this 6, right? I'm going to put it right here, so plus 6 equals 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54. That's going to be my new numerator, 54 over, step 3 says the denominator stays the same, okay? So that means the denominator stays the same. So I get 54 twelfths. And again, we just renamed it, okay? The number is the same. We're just calling it something different, okay? 54 twelfths. So let's try the next one. I have 7 and 6 elevenths. That's my mixed number. I'm going to change that by following the steps. So the first thing I'm going to do is multiply. Remember, our whole number times our denominator. I do get 7 times 11, which is 77. Okay, and then after that, I need to add the numerator. Remember, add the numerator. So 77 plus 6 is equal to 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83. Okay, and then step 3 is the denominator stays the same. So I do get 83 elevenths. Okay, elevenths. So yeah, that's all we're doing today, okay? And you can tell it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward as long as you follow the steps in the correct order. Alrighty, going into our box 8, our non-example, where's the mistake? Alrighty, so remember, you can definitely work on this with your partner if you need to. I want you to, actually I should say, okay? Remember, when you're looking at the non-example and you're trying to figure out where the mistake is at, look at your steps, okay? I promise, if you look at the steps, the mistake will be really clear. So let's see this. I have 9 2/10. I'm going to solve it now. They got 28 tenths when they renamed it, okay? But obviously we know there's a mistake. So the mistake is they did not follow the correct order, okay? Remember, step 1 says multiply the whole number times the denominator, 9 times 10. But they did it backwards. They went 9 times 2, and they got 18. And then after they got 18, what did they do? They added the 10. So they said 18 plus 10 equals 28. That's the mistake, okay? It should not be 28 right here, okay? I'm going to show you what they should have done. Get my eraser out so I can kind of mark all this. Alrighty. So what they should have done was 9 times 10. I'm going to cross this out since we know that's wrong. 9 times 10 is 90. 90 plus 2 equals 92. The denominator stays the same, which is 10. So I should have had 92 tenths. 92 tenths. Alrighty, and if you were able to figure that mistake out, great job, okay? Then that's telling me that you are looking at the steps, you're not ignoring them. Okay, a lot of you come to me for questions without even looking at the steps, and the first thing I ask you is, well, did you look at step 1? Did you look at step 2? And you're like, oh, okay, so please make sure you look at the steps, okay? Don't get lazy. Going into box 9, our critical attribute connection steps. Steps. Alrighty, step 1, we are going to multiply the whole number times the denominator, okay? Denominator. Okay, and remember, denominator just means the bottom number, okay? The number at the bottom of the fraction. So after we multiply the whole number times the denominator, then we need to add, right? We need to add the numerator. Okay, we're going to add the numerator. Then step 3, we are going to make sure that the denominator stays the same. Okay, we don't want to change the denominator. We'll never change it, at least not yet. Okay. So the steps one more time. Multiply the whole number times the denominator. We add the numerator. The denominator stays the same. Going into box 10, our sample problems. Write the mixed number as a fraction. Alrighty, so the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to multiply. I have 10 6/20, and I'm going to multiply my whole number times my denominator. So I get 200 plus my numerator, okay? That's going to be 6, so that's going to equal 206 over 20. So 206/20 is what you should have got for that one. Going into our next problem, I have 20 3/15. So again, I need to multiply my whole number times the denominator. 20 times 15th. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go like this and actually put them in vertical form. Okay, you might need to do this sometimes, and if you don't, no big deal, but I'm just doing it just to show you guys, okay, if you struggle with the multiplication. So 5 times 0 is 0, 5 times 2 is 10, put my placeholder, 1 times 0 is 0, and then 1 times 2 is 2. Add those together, I do get 300, okay? So I'm going to write 300 plus my numerator, right, which is 3, so I do get 303 over 15. Or I would say it as 303/15ths. Okay? Alrighty, and if you were able to get both of those, great job. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And if you didn't, please make sure that you let me know. But I figure if any of you missed them, you probably missed the second one and you made a mistake when you were multiplying. Okay? Going into box 11, our recap. Today we renamed mixed numbers as fractions greater than 1. Alrighty, for the next part, box 12, I want you to listen carefully. Okay, for the collaborative work and homework. I don't want anyone to ask me this, please, so make sure you are listening. Collaborative work. I want you to focus on the share and show problems 2 through 4 and 8 through 10. Nothing else, okay? Because there's another problem that I haven't showed you how to do, which is going to be tomorrow. So only do 2 through 4 and 8 through 10 on page 303. And for your homework, make sure you are listening one more time. You are only to do 1 through 8. One more time. 1 through 8. Nothing else, okay? Because again, I haven't showed you how to do the other ones. That'll be in tomorrow's lesson. With that said, see you in the next lesson.